Hi, Eunice. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so happy to see you again. How about you? How are
I'm
you?
doing. It's so good to see you. I get so excited. This is like the highlight of my day, seeing you.
I'm so happy to see you too. And I'm so happy to share like the final stretch of
Hmm.
like the questionnaires. So please walk us through about the last part of um, the solo questionnaire. There you go.
All right. So, as a summary, we've been doing this
Mhm,
questionnaire that I've created to help my
mhm, mhm,
clients. And every person who does this questionnaire and the assessments are able to get more self awareness. Able
mhm,
to understand themselves. But today's part that we're finishing up and wrapping up with is on the section of goals and dreams. So every
mm,
person has multiple goals and dreams. And
mhm, mhm.
sometimes when we are pursuing our goals and dreams, it can feel really challenging and isolating. And I would love to understand what you're experiencing so I can help you achieve and fulfill your goals and dreams sooner, easier, and of course, more enjoyably. So, you and I are going to take turns answering the questions.
Yeah.
So, you ready?
Yes, I'm so ready. I was able to answer this previously, but I'm so excited to answer this every single time because I'm learning more and more about myself. So let's dive in. Okay.
All right. The first question is, please share what your main top goals and dreams you want to experience and which of these goals and dreams you are currently pursuing.
That's so cool. Before I'm going to like tell the before and after. Before meeting you, I was just like trying to look for like a job, work from home
Hmm.
job, and like where I can like permanently work from home and just take care of my daughter. That's my dream. But right now, since knowing you and knowing your purpose, my dream now is to like create a global movement of goodness where we're like sharing hopefully daily all of the things that we've learned, that we've talked about, every experiences that we've gone through, and just share it to people and tell them that nothing is easy, but we can make it as long as we
Hmm.
believe it. So that, and I'm just so thankful that I'm able to like do my dreams while working with you. So I'm just really excited for this next chapter of my life. How about you?
I love hearing like how your dreams and your goals have evolved. That's always
Mhm,
exciting because that means that like new desires have awakened in you and
mhm,
like new ways of being like, well, actually, I want to like expand to this, or I believe like
mhm,
I really want to pursue this. So that it always makes me really happy to hear other women and witness
mhm,
them like grow into a new dream that they like didn't even know it that they wanted.
mhm,
And I think that's a like I think that sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to dream again.
mhm,
And when we do give ourselves permission, we get really like so surprised at what does get like
mhm,
revealed or like activated in us. So my main dream is obviously right
mhm.
now is sold out is to create a
Aw,
global movement, and on the everyday life is just to infuse like my life, infuse like my everyday
mhm,
life with just like more positivity to people in my community. But I do have specific goals, but I would say like that's
mhm,
my main goal and dream.
mhm. Aw, that is so cool. And I so love that our goals are really aligned to each other. And I know it will really come into a reality. So let's have the next question.
Okay. Since you share with me your inspiring goals and fascinating
Mhm.
dreams, what is only one mean and absolute must goal or dream that you want my expertise to help you fulfill?
Oh, that is so cool. And it's very tricky too. One and only 1 million and absolute must goal or dream. I think it's like for us to attend like the global movement, I also have to attain that what our product, well, not really product, but what our goal is. Our goal is to like share goodness, to share
Mhm,
positivity, and I wouldn't be able to share those goodness and positivity if I don't have that in me. So I think that's the
mhm,
only one main and absolute must goal for me, is to just really intensify myself and just really loving myself so that I'll find the
mhm,
goodness in me that I'll be able to share with others, and I'll be grateful for everything that I receive, and people will see that. And I think if people see and see that radiates and through my body, I don't have to endorse it. They'll just live it
mhm.
themselves. So I think that's the only one main goal I need right now.
I think I hear your underlying goal, which is like to just continue to like love yourself and
Mhm,
and just like that process of just like loving yourself as a goal
mhm,
and as an experience. I think
mhm.
that's like what I really gathered as like your like one of
That's
your main
true.
goals. I mean, you do right now, but it's like there's always new levels and new experiences of like loving yourself.
That's so true. That's how about you?
Okay. Absolutely. Okay, if there was like a tangible goal, like
Mhm,
obviously
mhm,
talking about sold out, like I'm so
mhm,
passionate. Like I obviously like think about it all the time. You know, sold
mhm,
out basically means like to shatter your limits and make your
mhm,
dreams real. So I would say like on a like every day, like my absolute goal is always to like continually re-examine and just like be like, actually this belief is just it's actually limiting me. And
mhm,
like that's a dream because
mhm,
that's the dream of like realizing I'm outgrowing something and I can recognize in the moment that which
mhm.
pulls me closer to being able to continue to share this message.
Oh, that is so cool. I would love to be always a part of that dream and go what you have.
Mhm.
So let's move on to the next question. So, does your self worth fluctuate or become defined by the outcome or results or lack of? Every day it oh, there are like choices that you can use. Like every day it happens when I'm discouraged, self sabotaging, or having imposter syndrome only towards this very specific goal I want. In other areas, my worth is secure. I will work even harder to make sure my self worth goes up. I think it only fluctuate when I'm discouraged or like there are like those times, like
Mhm.
moments when I feel discouraged, self-sabotaging or having like having imposter syndrome, but it's actually also becoming defined that because I know what I really wanted. So even if I feel those discouragement at those times, I can still feel that I can go back to where I really am. Like really believe who I am. So I think my final answer is D. How about you?
With all of the answers that's there, like every day it happens when I'm
Mhm,
discouraged,
mhm,
self-sabotaging, or I'm having imposter syndrome, or only towards this very specific goal I want, or in other areas my worth is secure,
mm.
and I'll work even harder to make sure my self-worth goes up. I've experienced all of those answers at different stages of my life.
That's true.
So
Mhm,
I
mhm,
remember when I was really struggling with having like negative self-talk, like or
mhm,
just everything in my life at the time.
mhm,
I knew about
mhm,
positive things, but I didn't know that you had like ability to change your thinking. So every
mhm,
day I was just like, oh, this is such a struggle. I'm always stressed out. Like
mhm,
I'm always, no matter what I do, my self worth is just like nothing.
mhm,
And then I remember when I'll be like really athletic, I would be like, man,
mhm.
I have the best self worth. I feel amazing to be like to the other in my life. It was just like dwindling. Um,
Mhm.
and then I've had moments like, recently of like imposter emotions coming up, and I'd be like, I was able to speak to objectively. Those are imposter emotions. My worth. I think of a mental imagery. I don't think I've told you, but I think of my self worth in like those like
Mm.
bank vaults. Where you have like a code.
Oh, I
You have a
so love
code,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Cool,
then
cool,
we
cool.
like do the code, like the handle to get to open the bank vault. It's like so huge and it
So
takes so
cute.
long. And then when it like finally opens up, it just reveals like all of this like abundance of like, money, right?
Mhm.
So when I do have those imposter emotions and experiences before, I would remember I'm like, look, your worth is completely untouchable. It's in your like
That's
emotion,
so
your
true.
self-worth vault. And even if you were like, no, it's like, no, my self-worth is actually really low. I'm like, look, I'm actually showing you it's like impossible to like bring it down. And I remember there was this quote, I think it says, when your feelings get hurt, make sure that it doesn't affect your self-worth and to keep those completely in two different
Ooh.
sections.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
remember hearing that at first, and I was just like, what do you mean? Like,
How?
they're like interchangeable.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and then I realized like, oh, okay, your self-worth is inherently where you can remember, like, I am so worthy, like, I'm worth
Mhm.
it, I'm valuable. And just like in that process to just
Mm.
um like to accept it and just learn to continue to believe in it and receive it.
Mhm. That is so cool. And sometimes or most of the times we're like affected by our own emotions and like all most
Mhm.
of our decisions are like when they said that we shouldn't make like decisions or like any rush decisions if we're too happy or we're too sad. If our like emotions are extreme because we are very irrational. So we just really have to slow down, like take deep breaths and just think that everything will actually go into fruition if it's really meant to be. Okay, cool. The next question is
Do you ever feel you are overly committed, underaccomplished, and underappreciated lately? Explain in detail. So I wrote this question
Mhm, mhm,
because I saw a theme when I worked with like female clients that were like
mhm,
very success driven or
mhm,
ambitious, regardless of what industry they're in, even if they're a parent, all
mhm,
in their own like life, their own reality.
mhm,
It was very valid that you could tell they were like they felt so committed to everything, but, like,
mhm,
in that process, they're just like, "Everything is pulling me in all these multiple directions, I don't feel very successful,"
mhm,
and I
mhm,
also feel underappreciated, and so I was just like, "Maybe there's a way that I can help understand, like,
mhm,
what's going
mhm.
on," you know?
And I totally feel that before, like not with work. I am like feeling like I'm working so much. I'm working a lot for my like to provide for my family, and then
Mhm,
I just need like someone who can give me like emotional support, like someone who can just tell me, "Good job, you did really well today." But I'm that kind of person who's just like needs someone who like the validation, like constant validation, like telling I appreciate you. And
mhm,
I was like looking for that personal, but because in my work with Joy, it's like an abundance of like appreciation. We're like showering ourselves. I mean, both of us with like all of those appreciations. But
mhm,
right now I just realized that you really don't have to wait for others to appreciate you. You can appreciate yourself. And like if you've done like something like really complex and you were able to do it, pat your back. Like before I thought that was so silly, but right now after realizing that
mhm,
yes, I can like commend myself for doing a good job. Why can't I do it? And I feel
mhm,
good after that. Like, good job. I wasn't able to do that. I was able to fix a computer for goodness sake. I
mhm,
should just
mhm,
thank, like,
mhm.
commend myself. So, yeah.
Isn't that such an interesting concept where there's, like, so many, like, private moments or even just, like, even public moments that women have, like, accomplished or
Mhm,
overcame or was the one to, like, save basically the
mhm,
day at
mhm,
home, in the relationship, friendship, at work, and they're so hyper focused on getting it finished and completed, but once it's done, there's, like, a sense of relief, but almost a sense of, like, they're on to the next.
mhm.
Like, there was no, like, moment of celebration. Has like, does that I can relate to that kind of experience.
Me too. And I think we were like just molded into like a thankless society. Like if you want to do it, don't wait for something in return. So those kind of things. And you were just, oh, since this is for a good thing, I'm going to do it, even if no one is thanking me. But at the end of the day, after doing a lot of things and doing everything for everyone, but not for yourself, you'll drain yourself out. And for
Mhm,
before you'll be drained out of that, I think you should just replenish it, not from others, because yes, others can give you those things that you needed, but it will not last long. But if you actually
mhm,
replenish it through your own self, you'll see that it will be more vital and it will be long lasting. So yeah. That's so cool. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Before I cry, let's move on to the next one. Oh, this one. What are
Okay.
you working towards that you are perceived to be underaccomplished lately? Underaccomplished means you don't see the results you expect and envision. Explain in detail. Oh, this has been a long-term project for me, and I really like very guilty if I wasn't able to still do it. we are like to change like the logo of Sold Out, and I've been trying to find ways on how to do that. And I've tried Adobe, I tried Canva, I actually
Mhm.
tried GIMP now, because it's like it's the same. It's GIMP is like the same as Adobe,
Oh
but
wow,
GIMP is like a free one. So I'm
cool.
like doing those things, and I was like,
Mhm.
I'm still not into that logo thing. So what I actually do is I put like a timeline of like I have to do that right now. I think it keeps me motivated. Like what are like the things that I
Uh-huh.
need to do? And also like for personal, for example, I have to read this book. I'm just writing it down. And I, even if I'm not touching my phone anymore, before I'll be like, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? But right now I'm like, okay, whatever time is it, it's okay. It's okay. I'll just read. So yeah, I'm really
Mhm.
sorry if the logo's still not for
Oh,
making firm.
no, I have not. I almost like I just like us talking about it. I was just like, oh yeah, we don't have a logo. Oh, I forgot. Because it's like I think there's just like other things that we've been doing as like
Mhm, mhm,
on acceleration mode.
mhm.
But I'm so grateful for you, like on so many
Mm,
levels. Like your strengths are things that like I think about and I'm like, man, that would have taken me like so long to do, or I would have
mhm,
just been discouraged in the first few processes. Like, okay, so I will say this example again. So
mhm,
initially I was like, oh, okay, I need to get a website done, right? And then I was like, oh, I heard about Show It. So then I bought the
mhm,
template. No, first I saw this template on Show It.
mhm,
Um, and if you guys don't know what Show It is like, oh, a template where a website template where you can personalize it to your to every liking, you know, to your
mhm,
style, to your font. Everything's personalized. So it's not like a typical Wix or Squarespace. Um, so then when I first saw it, I was like, I want that one. But then
mhm.
but then I felt this resistance, like, ooh, but like, do I really want to buy it? Because that means like I'll have to do it. And I just like had so I said whenever I have that settle moment of like I'm not sure to buy it, I'll just
Mhm,
wait. This is
mhm,
one of my like money habits. And then I kept thinking about it.
mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I finally ended up buying it, I think like 2 months later maybe? And once
Yeah,
I
yeah.
immediately bought it, I was like, "Yes!" I felt so good about that purchase. That's when I know I like knew I really wanted it. And I was just and then I obviously you didn't have any experience yet on it.
Mhm.
You just dove in and now you're like a master at show it, like you I'm
It
impressed.
took me 6 months for
Hey, I'm so proud of that website, like, it's gonna be launched this week. I'm just so proud of it.
Aw, thank you so
Mhm.
much. How about you? Like, what are you working towards lately that you feel like you're underaccomplished? Is
Um,
it anything?
I'll be really honest, actually,
Mhm.
a few things. So,
Mhm.
one side of me is, like, feeling that, I wanna write again, right?
Mhm,
But I
mhm,
to write again, that means I need to make time for it.
mhm,
I need to be in a place of like a frame of mind to be like, it's
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
gonna write for the next few hours. Um, so there's like one side that acknowledges like, do you want to start
mhm,
writing again? And then another side is I used to be so creative with like creating videos.
mhm.
And
Mm,
so
mhm,
I was having this conversation where I was just like, I'm not doing two things that like I used to do before. And then
mhm,
I said, however, the things that I'm doing right now are I'm actually building. Like I'm building the foundation for Sold Out. I'm building
mhm,
relationships with you. I'm building my mentality so that this can be sustainable and this can be so ongoingly so enriching and impactful. So
mhm,
sometimes there's things that like I feel underaccomplished in, but I have to
mhm,
remember I'm like, is that an expectation that's actually like narrow-minded? Like it doesn't take into capacity
mm,
of what I'm
mhm,
experiencing emotionally, doesn't take into consideration of like what I'm like mentally focusing on as well. Um, relationship wise,
mhm,
it's not taking into consideration that I'm choosing to spend time with you and with my partner.
mhm,
So when I like see that there's an incongruence, I'm like, okay, I want to change the expectation.
mhm.
Um, but I think it's okay to admit that you feel underaccomplished on something.
That's so true. And I think we accepting that there are like things that we need to improve on, that those are like the
Mhm.
things that matters because we know where we lack on. So we're going to put more effort on that so that we'll be
Mhm.
good at it. Okay, cool. Okay, next question.
Okay, since I have expertise, what is the main obstacle, hurdles, problems that keep getting in your way to starting, being consistent, or achieving your goals and dreams?
I think it's for me, it's my way of like overthinking. Like, this wouldn't work. Like, I would try like difficult things, like
Mhm.
complex things. And then after that, oh my goodness, it's not working. And then I'll jump into another one. Just like what I'm doing, jumping from one application to another. And then it leads me to like, what's happening now? So I was just like thinking, I think I'll be able to do it if I just focus on one application and doing instead of just like, okay, this one first, and then this one.
Do you think, like, when you say overthinking, is it like you're thinking of um, like how difficult it is, or you're thinking like it might not work out? Like, what kind of like self talks come up?
I was like thinking it will not work out. And the
Mhm.
first thinking was like it's so difficult. It will not work out. So it's
Mhm.
just like
Mhm.
snowballing for me. So but I realized that there's like a book that you also suggested to me. It's Ultra Learning. It's that we have to like if we want to get like something that we want to create on, we have to like look for steps on how we are going to do it. For example,
Mhm.
for example, I need to make a fire. They said that in design we can just make a lot of circles, and then in those
Mhm.
circles we can create like a shape of fire. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. I
Oh.
just have to learn about that. So but then I tried to do it myself, and I thought it was like, oh, it's so complex. It's so hard, and I will not be able to do it. So I think it's by just really immersing myself, and I think removing the difficulty. Like, instead of saying it's difficult, I should just say, instead, I know it's difficult right now because I haven't learned enough, but I know if I continuously could do this one, I think I'll be able to create this into something new. So so that's, yeah. How about
I
you?
I I think that, like, skills and belief, they go hand in
Mhm,
hand. Sometimes it's just more
mhm,
the skill of like, on a wavelength, right? So,
mhm,
like, maybe
mhm.
right now, the skill is more difficult, and your belief is like, "I'm gonna just remember to continue supporting
Mm.
you through this through this."
Mhm,
So today, like, I was working out, and
mhm,
I had this idea of what we need to do for a video for my workout, but
mhm,
in the idea, I'm not gonna say it out loud.
mhm,
Um, I was like, "Interesting. Right now, the workout is the skill, like, doing the
mhm,
activity." And I was like, "Okay, in my life right now, what other activities do I know how to do?" But just
mhm,
in this present moment, emotionally and mentally,
mhm,
not fully focused, so I feel like, "Ooh, I don't
mm,
wanna be here. This is too difficult." And so
mhm,
I was like, "Is it the activity right now that's difficult, or
mhm,
the more dominant one, is it the
mhm,
belief, right? The attitude?" And so
mhm,
sometimes they'll both be, like, head on, like, dominant and dominant in front of you is the new skill as well as the belief. And so with you being like, "It is difficult," I'm
mhm,
admitting it is difficult, but I know that, like, me learning this skill is, like, gonna help me, right? Like you said that, or,
yeah.
like, I'm going to
Mhm,
improve. I always I'm so admire you for, like, how much skills that you've learned,
mm,
because I can say right now, this is what I think I know that you have learned in skills, but you probably have a long list. 'Kay, so you have, topography, which is font, right? So, like, knowing how to use which
yes.
fonts, Canvas and, like, using all the assets of Canva, which is, like, editing photos, putting things
Mm,
into either into a slide deck, to reels, to posts, to, into, like, using it for, like, a YouTube banner. That's just 2 so far. Now we're doing it for social media, so, like, we're doing it for this, like, video right now. So if anytime that you are struggling, even when I worked with students with like who had learning
mhm,
disabilities, I would tell them, okay, right now, before you do this activity that you know already is difficult,
mhm,
like they're like, "I hate math, Miss Joy. This is the
Oh my
stupidest
gosh.
thing ever," right? Like, and I was like, "I get it. Like, I get it." So I said, "Let's just write down all the things that you're really good at." And I was like, "Or you can draw it out for me. You don't have to like write it out."
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And they'll be like showing me like they rip out all the paper and they'll be like, they're like, "Here you go, Miss Joy. Here's all my things I'm really good at." And I'm like, "Okay, now go count everything." They're like, "No, I have to count it, right?" So now we're doing math because now they're counting. And they come back to me and they're like, "I'm good at 50 things." I'm like, "Amazing. So if you can do these 50 things, we can at least try this one thing."
Oh.
And they were like, "Okay." So sometimes it's like same thing for you. Maybe you have to have a visual list of being like, "These are all the things that I've learned new skill I have these skills at that were initially new and they were
Mhm, mhm.
difficult or uncomfortable." And
Oh.
that's like your your skill
Mhm,
resume, like pat on the
mhm.
back moment.
Oh, I'll take note of that. I'm actually like writing it down too. How
Mhm.
about you? If you were like in your the ex since like you, what's like the main obstacle that's like getting in your way? Like in writing or in
Okay.
writing again.
Mhm. Okay, 2 of the main obstacles, which
Mhm,
is time. I
mhm,
I have this relationship with time where either I'm so in love with time, like, I love this moment, I'm doing so
mhm,
amazing, I'm in my joy, I feel creative, like, right now, I'm just, like, I'm not even thinking about time because 'cause I'm just
mhm,
present in the time, like, I'm
mhm,
present in the
mhm,
moment. I think that any time that I just realized, like, remember when you told me yesterday, you're like, "When I don't choose myself joy, I feel stressed,
mhm,
distracted, I feel
mhm, mhm.
agitated, I feel," what was the other one you told me? Uh,
Burnt out.
Burnt out, right? And so, I know when I'm, like, feeling like I'm behind or I felt slightly
Mhm.
agitated, I'm like, "Joy, that means that you're viewing time as scarcity or you're viewing time as if, like,
Oh.
this
Mhm,
bus kind of, like, moment, right? Like, you know that, like,
mhm,
fear-based, like, "Oh, no, I missed the bus." Like,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
um, and then I remember, like and then I also remember moments of, like, um, anything that's worthwhile requires time. Anything that wants to
mhm.
mature requires time. So, for example, like, I read a quote recently, and says that, when you plant something, plant a
Mhm.
tree, your plants we as humans, we see time as hurry up. Like,
That's true.
I want you to be mature. I want this thing to bloom. And God's like, you can't rush
Mhm.
the maturity of growth. So
Mm.
sometimes
Mhm.
I wonder, I'm like, maybe this whole season has been about the word isn't really time, it's just
Mhm.
like maturity of like growth.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
as in an ego sense, right? We're, like, processing it or interpreting
Mhm.
it's time, but I think the ultimate real true growth is maturity of, like, things
Mm.
unfolding, things
Mhm,
need
mhm.
to be, like, weeded out. Like, today, I was
Mhm.
telling you I was crying, and that literally felt cathartic. Like, it literally felt like there's things that was being eliminated out of me
Mhm.
that I will no longer, like, hold in anymore, hold
Mhm.
or, I didn't know I was holding in.
Aw.
Mhm.
I just remember you talk about the boss. I've like watched it somewhere. They said if you prayed for a boss and then you run to reach that boss and you didn't get it, that means that's not your boss because you've tried
Mhm,
your best to like get it and you can wait for the boss
mhm,
to arrive. But if you prayed for the boss and you just strolled it and then you see the boss and it
mhm,
left you, maybe that's your boss. But since you didn't make an effort, then you lose your
mhm,
chance. And I think you're doing it. You've already um you've prayed that you want to write and you're trying your best to write and that actually matters as long as you actually do have that in your heart. The
mhm,
book will come out sooner or later. You don't have to force
mhm,
yourself.
mhm, mhm.
oh, oh my goodness, it's connected with this. So
I
sorry.
love it. Okay, it says, "Even though you don't see the results you expect and envision, tell me what are signs of improvement, growth, maturity, or qualities you have that are personally significant to you?"
Explain in
Should,
detail.
should I should I go or you go?
Yes, yes, you go.
Um, okay, so I can apply it to my life right now for sure.
Mhm,
But I think like initially when I like created that
mhm,
question, I think that like journals and reflection questions are so
mhm,
powerful, but they're
mhm,
always stating it from the place of inspiration,
mhm,
which is
mhm,
great, right? Like that
mhm,
gets you going, that gets you like
mhm,
creating the vision. But I want others to recognize when you're in that in your garden right now
mhm,
and you're like, "I've been watering it my plants," or "I think I've
mhm.
been doing it I think I've been, like, keeping enough of, like, the gophers out of my, like, yard," like, everything that you think of preventative and proactive, um, it, like, helps you to really exercise a moment of, like, "Okay, what can I recognize that's not physically," you know? So for me, it's always, like, it's always an emotional, like, check-in. That's, like, where I know that I'm
Mm,
growing is I'm not in I don't have it's infrequent and infrequent of, like of feeling emotional or overwhelmed, and it's
mhm,
also infrequent of, like, the duration, like,
mhm,
if I'm recognizing, I don't see my progress yet, so I'm not staying in a long duration of, like, doubting myself. It's like, it might
mm,
come through,
mhm,
but I'm not, like, lamenting in it, or I'm not
mhm.
identifying, like, I should just definitely quit.
I love that. As long as you don't quit, you'll be able to like do whatever you want. And I think for me too, if you see me like 7 months before, I'm such a pessimistic person, and I'm not like this before. And I'm so happy that I was able to outgrow that mindset and just grow
Mhm,
into a new person every single day and talking
mhm,
with joy, just like listening to everything that
mhm,
we're like the people Alex and like Leila
mhm,
Hermosi, Grant Cardone, Ryan Holiday just keeps me on
mhm.
the mood, just like being a good person. I know it's hard, but it will get you to where you wanted to be sooner or later. Okay, cool. Ooh. When you are working towards one of your goals, what slows or makes you start to second guessing yourself? So select as many. So there are 10 questions listed. So the first one is I'm feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and fizzing out of my desire to keep going. I've been consistent, but I'm getting bored with consistency. Ah. I thought by now I'd see more progress that I already have. It's discouraging. I'm starting to wonder, doubt, and be skeptical about is this even worth it? Honestly, I'm afraid, concerned, and discouraged that I've put this much effort and very little is being shown in my results. Honestly, it's the same. Sorry for that. I see other inspiring women staying focused, disciplined, look confident, and are accomplishing more than I am. I want to achieve a lot in my life, but it seems like I have to sacrifice a lot for that. I feel conflicted. I start looking to find a different and easier shortcut. I jump from one self improvement to the next. I feel pulled in multiple directions and responsibilities. I think I'm everything in this one. Well, especially with this, with I start looking to find a different and easier shortcut. I jump from one self improvement to the next, and that's the reason why I'm not doing anything.
But just in that skill,
Mhm,
you're jumping, right? Because in other aspects
mhm.
of your life, you're, like, very committed and consistent, and you're it's like there's um, like, a determination.
Yes, because I think that's really in my mindset. So I think if I just have to change that mindset in that specific application, I'll be
Mhm.
able to go through it everything. So yeah, I'm working on it.
On a side
How
note
yeah.
for the logo, maybe, like, well, after this meeting, we'll have, like because we've just grown so fast and transformed so much that maybe it's like a new updated pivot
That's
of
true.
because last time I was on Think and Grow Rich, the burning desire, and I think it
Mhm.
still will be like there. So that's what I'm thinking.
Me too. I was like thinking if I'm going to make the logo for this one or this one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll,
it's saved for later. How about
yeah, we'll
you?
talk about it soon. Again, I have felt all these emotions at some
Mhm,
point in my life and even
mhm,
some recently.
mhm,
So let's see which one I feel like I'm in right now. Um, mm, I would say maybe it's like C. I thought by now
mhm,
I'd see more progress than I have, and it at times it's discouraging, and at times it's
mhm,
just like keep the faith. Like it's really
mhm,
like
mhm,
just walk
mhm,
by faith.
mhm,
But like it's not to the degree of like a there's discouraged and there's
mhm,
defeated. I
mhm,
think it's
mhm.
discouraged is just like ego's way of saying I feel like sometimes ego uses our vision board against us or like our vision
Ooh,
against us.
mhm, mhm.
So
That's
like
so
when
true.
I say that, I think that at the purest form, a vision or a vision board, imagination,
Mhm, mhm,
it's it's untainted. It's just like at the purest
mhm,
form of like this is how expansive, wild, happy,
mhm, mhm,
blissful it can
mhm.
be, right? And then and then when you're having a moment of discouragement, it's like, well, like look at your vision board, it's dusty, or look at your
Mhm,
vision.
mhm,
Um, in comparison, they're like completely contrasting.
mhm, mhm.
And then it makes your discouragement more reinforced.
Ooh,
When
that's
in
true.
reality, it's just this is how your brain processes of
Mm,
all the emotions of you want of your dreams. This is it could be the closest to look like.
mhm,
And so it's just like the discouragement is only seeing it from face value to face value.
mhm.
But through like recognizing, right, looking at the signs and clues of improvement, that's where it helps you like get pulled out of that discouragement.
And that's so
Mhm,
true. And when I think when we're in that state, when we feel like we're so discouraged, we just have to look like a day back and you'll realize
mhm,
I've grown into a different person
mhm,
compared to yesterday. I think we usually get discouraged when we went into social media or we went to like
mhm, mhm,
we were having that emotional day because oh my goodness, they said they've done it for like 6 months only and they're
mhm,
so successful and I'm like doing it for 6 years, those kind of things. But
mhm,
each person has a different timeline, so you don't just
mhm,
have
mhm.
to like you just have to trust the process.
You know what, Eunice? We should maybe for our next activity, we should make emotional or mental wellness vision board or vision.
Let's do
Mhm,
that. Let's have that one. Okay,
mhm.
let's write that one. Emotion vision
So
board.
this is my idea, emotional and mental wellness, the vision board, or emotional mental
Mhm,
wellness, like vision, is
mhm,
basically writing down what would be every single type of positive emotion that you would want to experience every day or on a regular basis,
ooh,
and in
mhm,
what
mhm,
specific in situations. So, like, let's say it's work related. So maybe
mhm,
you're like, okay, that when I'm at work, I think that my most truest self would want to be like
mhm,
she's focused, she's able to have clear boundaries and articulate, hey, today like I can't take on more responsibilities. I'm just gonna stay focused to this project. So if like we were able to create emotional, mental, a kind of vision board
mhm.
per se, um, those are the moments where like I'm getting growth. I actually like did that,
Aw, mhm,
and it, of course, the byproduct will be your vision, your physical vision board of like being
mhm,
happier, more confident, or
mhm,
traveling somewhere.
mhm,
Um, and then of course, like you can add in your own input if it's like you want to have like self talk on top of that on the
mhm.
emotional mental wellness vision.
I still love that because we typically
Hmm.
overlook like what our emotions is. Whenever we do have like vision, we
Hmm.
just like really focus into goals that we don't care about like how do we feel
Hmm.
for it. And this
Hmm.
is like
Hmm.
so good. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay.
This is why I
Um,
love unity. This is like why I seriously love unity with you and just in general with women who your own ideas get sparked and then it gets like obviously it's like a fire like it gets like
mhm,
ignited, it gets shared, you have your insight that like adds to it, and that's basically like what makes um it makes dreams like be enjoyable because you and I are
Mhm.
now unified in our dream. You and I are now
And
unified as like women of being like, I want to help you.
And if the people are like listening right now, if they want to join
Mhm,
in and like jump on the fun, and right, we're going to do the emotional and like physical vision board in our next episode. So feel free to
mhm,
like comment, like, and do whatever
mhm,
you want to
mhm,
do, and just join us with the fun. This will
mhm,
be so
mhm.
much fun if you join us. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next question, and it's your turn.
Okay. Which
No, this is so
emotions do you
hefty.
experience when you aren't accomplishing your goals and dreams fast enough? Check as
Uh-huh.
many. Okay, so again,
Mhm.
I like understanding what someone's experiencing emotionally because those are related to how you are, um, what's going on in your private life, right? What's going on in your
Mhm,
thoughts? What's going on with some
mhm,
of your abilities? So all the emotions, they're all in a wavelength. So when I say so
mhm.
emotion, there's no at its truest form, emotions aren't um, positive or negative. They're just indicators. So an indicator would be the same as green light, go. Yellow lights, warning. Red light, like, oh, this caught, like, you need to stop, right? Alarms.
Mhm,
And so think of your emotions as indicators. So at the one end of the spectrum of your emotions is shame and fear. And
mhm, mhm,
unfortunately, it does feel like it feels very like isolating and it feels very
mhm,
depressing. But as you move towards the next emotion after like shame and embarrassment, fear, it'll lead to the next one might be like jaded or apathy, like I don't care.
mhm, mhm,
And then
mhm,
the next motion might be after that being like, pessimistic.
mhm,
And then after that, maybe it'd be doubt. And then so forth and so forth. And so when you
mhm,
see someone who's at the like maybe like bliss or something,
mhm,
they're just at another intensity of the emotion. So
mhm,
when you're in one emotion, and even though you're maybe feeling the intensity of it, remember, okay, what's the next emotion that's slightly relieving after that?
oh, mhm,
So it's instead of being
cool.
like, "Oh, I'm so depressed, I want to be happy," be like, "Hey, what's the next emotion?" Instead of feeling depressed. And then
Mhm,
it might be like, "Okay, I can try to start thinking about something solution oriented," and
mhm,
that's what you get you to the next emotion. So the reason why I identified the emotions so clearly was to help
mhm,
someone to one, to feel the awareness, but also feel validated that this is
mhm.
all normal of emotions
Oh.
that come up with our goals and dreams. We just don't talk about it publicly.
Mhm. That's true.
Mhm,
And it's safe to share it with Joy because she actually reads it every single time and she remembers
mhm,
everything that you write. So don't worry, she's the only person who can remember that and will remember that, and it won't be
mhm.
shared to anyone. So if you want to
Yeah.
answer that, we're going to put in also the link on how you can access this type form and you can answer it. Okay, cool. The next one is share with me in detail of a recent time when you almost wanted to give up. Instead, you believe in yourself and overcame the situation. Oh, I love the comment. By the way, I admire your grit and believing in yourself. Oh, share with me.
Go unit.
Wanted to give up. Oh, cool. I was last year. I tried to become a financial advisor. I became a financial advisor, and I thought I'll be able to make money a lot, and that was my dream because I just really want to be financially free and just give everything to my loved ones, most especially to my child. And but suddenly, it didn't work out, and I was like thinking like should I just go back to the normal 8 hour work and then 5 days a week like shift I mean like work again? But I was like thinking no, I actually really wanted to like work from home and like be there for my daughter every step of the way. I know it's really hard, and I'm just really grateful that my parents are still like helping me to like support me
Mm,
even though I am in those moments. And it's also my husband. And I've prayed hard for this. Like I actually having problems with like time, work time. That's why I was playing. I want to work from home and I want to control what time I'll be working. And then December 2022 came and I was interviewed by this beautiful lady. And then my daughter pops in and I was like, "Oh my goodness. I think I won't be I wouldn't be um given a chance again because usually like the typical employer will be like, "Oh my goodness,
Mhm,
she's so unprofessional. She brings her daughter to work
mhm.
and to the interview."
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just so thankful that you gave me a chance to work and here I am 7 months later.
Like I still remember that day like crystal clear. On my side of the story of that same scenario, Eunice, she was like so like prepared, and I think I asked her questions just so that I can really understand who she was as a
Mhm.
woman. Because I think it's just as
Mhm.
important if I'm working with someone is to really know who I'm working with as a person. And
Mhm.
eventually we did get into like the professional skills. And then you politely ask, you're like, "Can I put myself on mute? My daughter's calling me." And I was like, "Sure." I'm like watching the interaction, and she's acting calmly with her daughter, and then her daughter's like sitting on her lap. She didn't like miss a beat. She just was just like poised, was answering the questions. Um, and like that made me so proud of you. It was just like you stayed poised. And then you should share what was one of your answers. I think I asked you a question on like how you overcame a situation that you necessarily weren't prepared for, and it was about your laptop or the computer.
Yeah, I actually receive an interview notice that I will be interviewed by you. And then I saw it through my phone. I tried to open my computer and it's not turning on. I actually don't have
Mhm.
any idea on how to like fix the computer. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get this job. I want to work from home and I was like, okay, search. What do I need to do to like to
Mhm.
fix a computer? And I like detangle everything, like the parts of the computer. And I was like, it will work. It will work. I'll find a way to make it work. And I was like, it's not working. Okay, try again. Different one, different method. And I was like, finally, like the last part, I was like, I think after 4 hours, I was like drenched in sweat. And I was like really trying to find ways on how to like fix it. And then just like, I just switched the battery. That's the fix. I just need to switch the battery of like this computer and it automatically like lit everything up. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in time to like to do the interview. And I was like, I'm so, so happy. So
Oh my God, what a miracle. Like again, that's like the burning desire story in Think and Grow Rich. Do you remember when he didn't know how he was gonna get like catch the fare to meet
yeah.
Thomas
To make Thomas
Edison, and
Edison, yes.
but he was just like, I made a decision. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm going to like get to that point. You were rewarded by God in that
Oh my god.
miracle.
Oh, thank you so
So
much. And
was
I'm
that like a
rewarded by
day
something.
before? Was that like a day before the interview?
Yes, that's the day before the interview. And it was like and usually I have like a backup laptop, but my cousin-in-law just borrowed it for work from home, and since I told myself I'm not going to use it, then I let him borrow it.
Mhm.
And then like fast forward months later, I wasn't able to like he's using it, so I don't just like ask him to like get it. I was like, okay, this is the only thing. This is my only way out. I have to fix this computer or like miss
Wow.
the interview because one of their requirements was like I have to use the computer that I'm going to use to work for work, so I can't like use a different one. So
You
I
couldn't
just
switch
really
back and forth? Oh,
yeah.
I see, I see. Wow. Wow. I know that I was answered prior to you because I even told you in the interview, I was like, "Yeah, I totally support autonomy, like, everyone should receive autonomy of, like, when's their most optimal time to work." You know, like, their zones of genius, their zones of creativity and efficiency. Um, and even after the interview when you were done, I was talking to the manager. He's like, "I appreciate that you said that." He's like, "But, just in case, maybe you should just, like, have her clock in at these, like, certain time zones or, like, the times."
Mhm.
And I literally told him, like, this is when I knew I was like, I knew who I was. I was like, "I really appreciate that, but still, that's not conducive for, like, my client's well-being." And he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay." And then And here, and we still are.
Happy
Yeah,
and
yeah.
peaceful. So thank you. I think the last question is just asking for them. It's really optional if there's anything that they wanted you
Mhm,
like to understand and know about them. So yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Oh, can you tell them like something that you want them to know them? The people who are like listening instead. Like something.
Okay, so, um, I used to believe that goals and dreams would make me more, like, deserving or make me more
Mhm,
worthy, or I would receive love and attention through being able to achieve.
mhm,
So
mhm,
and I think, like, I don't know where I learned that or where I
mhm,
caught that, or if I
mhm,
just saw it where when I was younger, I recognized, like, "Oh, these people who accomplished, they gain importance. I
mhm,
want importance, so
mhm, mhm,
I'm gonna, like, pursue all these goals and dreams."
mhm, mhm,
And in the process of, like, when I was doing that, I had good intentions because I was like, "Oh, this
mhm,
makes me feel, focused. This makes me, like, have a
mhm,
target." But what was happening was I was extending and delaying my own, like, everyday positivity. I was, like,
mm,
extending,
mhm,
delaying myself to be like, "Okay." It was basically like this every day. I was like, "Okay, tomorrow you're gonna feel more enough because you're one step closer to achieving your
mm,
goal."
mhm, mhm,
And it was just, like, such a repetitive loop, but there were moments where I'm like, "Man, like, am I ever gonna really, fully achieve this? Because
mm,
I don't know how much longer I can do this." And then I recognize over time that that your goals and dreams are just aspects with you, but
mhm.
they're not definitions of your worth. Like, they
That
don't
is
define a lore or higher make your worth higher. It doesn't
mhm,
fluctuate. So I want someone to just, like, really resonate and just, like, receive that, that belief and that truth.
mhm,
Because if
mhm,
we continue to hold on to, like, if I accomplish more, then I'm gonna get the attention and love,
more.
or when I accomplish more, then I'll feel worthy. That is that's like the running after a carrot in front of you.
Mhm, mhm.
It's a trap.
And I second that, but me in a way that I want to be appreciated. I am doing a lot of things
Mhm,
for people for them to appreciate me. And I was like thinking, if I do this, they'll appreciate me. If I do this, they'll be able to tell me that they love me. And that's like my way of
mm,
thinking before. Like I'm trying to give and give and give. And then after
mm,
that, I was like expecting something in return. Like, since I give you
mhm,
something, you should give me something in return. And most of the time, it's not the case.
mhm,
They're like, since you give it to me, it's my choice to give you back if I want it or not. So,
mhm,
right now, what I realize is it's not really for you for other people to appreciate you. You should appreciate yourself more because who would
mhm,
appreciate you if you yourself can see your worth. So right now,
mhm,
if you're really feeling like I'm underappreciated, nobody loves me. There's like
mm,
someone somewhere in the world. We, Joy and I, really are
mhm,
like praying for you and just like trying to tell you you're not alone. We've experienced that and we know how
mhm,
lonely that is. And it's okay to let it all out. You can cry, you can write it down, you
mhm,
can like scream like it is so painful. It is so hard. And
mhm,
it's totally fine. Once you've like tell that and just like really
mhm,
if there's like a pod where you can just shout, I think where is that? There's like a movie like you can shout
mhm,
and they wouldn't hear you. If
mhm,
there's like but you can do it yourself. Like you could if you could just like shout, like, ah, go in a free not really freeway because it's dangerous, but in a loud noise and you just shout and nobody will
mhm,
actually notice that. And then
mhm,
okay,
mhm,
you're get on your way so that you'll just have
mhm,
some outlet to like let out of your negative feelings and try to hopefully appreciate yourself more because you are worth it, you are
mhm,
loved, you are cared
mhm,
for, you are important. So yeah.
mhm, mhm. I actually wanna add to that, Eunice. Like, I think
Mhm,
that's, like we always think it's, like, we put so much focus or, like, maybe, like, misinterpreted to have shame around having, like, that
mhm,
breaking point where you're crying or you're having that moment of, like, "I've worked so hard and I still
mhm,
feel underappreciated," or, "I worked so hard and I
mhm,
feel overly committed." Um, and that's, like, very quiet moment, but very
mhm,
loud, emotional moment where you just wanna cry and, like, scream. But
Mhm.
I always believe those moments are actually like there's something in you that's like,
Mm.
I need you to wake up because you deserve it. You're worth it. You're worth being listened to. You're
Mm.
worth being valued in a maybe in a new area of your life, you know, like a new
Mhm.
company or, you know, changing that dynamic. But to always go back to being like, it's not so much focus on like the breakdown
Mhm.
because the once we're like unleashing it or
Mhm.
recognizing it, or like what you said, right? Like not fully acknowledging it, then you're like, okay, I can now start taking process steps
Mhm.
of really
Mhm.
understanding myself, like, oh, I am worth it to realize I don't have to overextend myself for this, right? I don't have to extend
Mhm.
myself to be validated.
Mm, that is so powerful. Yeah, I can feel that. You're like really,
Hmm,
really
hmm.
listening to it still.
So two things, two things
Okay,
we'll wrap
cool.
up is our worth is just like the bank vault. You have the code to it. You're gonna
Mhm.
you're gonna keep it locked up, not because you're trying to hide it away from that it's to be something ashamed of, but it's just that
Mhm.
it's so pure. Like you have so much inherent
Mhm.
good, like unconditional worth that
Mhm.
what learning to not let other people's opinions or even your own misinterpretations of yourself, like, oh, there I go again messing up, or all the negative self talk. We have to remember to shield ourselves from that to leave
Mhm.
so that our worth doesn't fluctuate, our worth doesn't
Mhm.
get tainted or, you know, and if it did before, we can always go back to being like, "Okay, I apologize that I treated myself like
Mhm.
that," and moving forward, my worth is in that vault.
Mhm. Aw, that is so powerful. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who have listened this to this, and
Mhm,
I hope that you've got like bits of and pieces of like information that you wanna like live in your life. And if
mhm,
you
mhm,
agree or disagree, feel free to like, comment,
mhm. We love to
and
hear feedback.
I would love to
Mhm.
hear your feedback. And
Thank you so much, Eunice. I am
thank
so
you.
looking forward to our next episode.
Oh, we should pray. Okay, cool. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's wrap up.
Mhm.
Um, Dear God, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much that Eunice is alive. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to spend time with her again. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to share our messages with everyone here and everyone who was just meant to listen to today's
Mhm.
message. And
Mhm.
that if there's something that really like convicted them or was just like, wow, I needed to hear that, or maybe
Mhm.
there's just something that they're gonna have this, like, new inspiration to
Mhm.
reevaluate their goals and dreams. We don't know exactly, God, but and only you do, and so we just wanna,
Mhm.
like, um, open our minds, open our hearts, allow
Mhm.
ourselves to be able to get to lean in, to get
Mhm.
supported, as well as, like, take initiatives in ways that really does allow us to grow, allow us to mature, allows us, most of all, to to see our blind spots and to be humble enough to admit them. Amen, God.
Mm. Thank you so much, Lord, for this beautiful and wonderful day. Thank you so much for giving us this day so that we can go live for the first day. I know this is a very, it's groundbreaking for the two of us, and it's really such a milestone for the two of us. And thank you for guiding us and for just letting you speak in every questions that we just have to answer. Lord, please guide us and guide all the people who are like listening to this podcast and to this YouTube video so that they'll be able to feel the healing that you wanted to them. Touch their heart, their mind, their soul, their tired body, so that they can all release the negative energies, the negative emotions, the negative feelings that they've built up for a lot of times and for a long time. And I know that you're going to replenish it with all the positivities, with all of the goodness, with all of the gratefulness, with all the love, with all the care, and with all the compassion that you're going to, yet you're giving us and you continually give us. Lord, we raise everything to you, and I know that we are a step more closer to this global movement of like goodness of people where we just share all the good things that you're giving us and sharing us, and we're just lightening everyone up to see that there's like a road for them, the road in which closer to you and like closer to their own dreams. So thank you so much, Lord, for this, and we love you so so much. Amen.
Amen.